All right, so today we are looking at the digestive system as a whole, but basically we're going to be focusing on the different components of the digestive system and how they work both mechanically and chemically to break down food. Now, for example, not all areas of the digestive system have the same pH, and that will also be a focus. So, essentially, you are a meat tube. What this means is you have two environments. You have the one you generally consider your external environment, okay, straightforward. The pH of the skin's roughly 5 to 7. It's no dramas there. You're well aware by now. Then you have what you consider your digestive system. This is also an external environment. It's an external environment with an entirely different chemistry and structure, etc. But mouth to anus is essentially a tube that is empty and hollow with room for food. All right. So, mechanical versus chemical digestion. Mechanical digestion is the cutting and grinding of food, and this largely occurs in the mouth. And the reason this happens is to increase the surface area for the enzymes to act upon for chemical digestion. Once again, digestion is the breaking down of food. Chemical digestion is the breaking down of food into its smaller chemical components, using both enzymes, which are a special type of protein, to speed up reactions, and acids. All right. Now, a quick little note here. One, you need to be able to draw and label this. It would probably help if you can tabulate the functions of each of these structures in the digestive system. So we'll start off at the top end. The mouth is the entrance, and that's where mechanical digestion occurs. Then you have the salivary glands. These produce saliva, and they are here, and that's where amylase is made, which we'll talk about more in a second. Now, the esophagus is this long section here, labeled there, and it's where peristalsis occurs. So that's basically the bringing of food down this way. A lot of people assume that's done by gravity. It's really not. It's an active process. Now, here you have the cardiac sphincter, which is a ring muscle, like all sphincters are, and it contracts or expands to let stuff in and out. Basically, its job is to allow food into the stomach, but not out. So it prevents that from happening. All right, so here's the stomach. Now, basically, it's like a long bag. It's a muscular bag though, so it's not floppy. It's controlled, and it's about 15 centimeters long. This is where protein digestion, chemical digestion starts, and this juice here is highly acidic. It has a pH of 1 to 3, and that's called gastric juice. Now, basically, the food comes in and the muscles churn it, so like food doesn't just sit there, it just moves around and gets churned up in the gastric juices. What makes the gastric juices so low a pH is the hydrochloric acid, and pepsin is the enzyme which breaks down proteins to start off with, and it requires a very low pH. So also, just out of interest, the acid here is, like your skin, is part of the first line of defense against microorganisms. So any bacteria, viruses, etc. that make their way down to your stomach, hopefully, will be digested and broken apart by the acid there. So after about 4 hours of sitting in your stomach and being churned around, a thick mixture called the chyme, so that's where it's all being gunked down, and that's what passes into the small intestine via the duodenum here. You're going to hear about that thing in a minute. Alright, so the small intestine. This is where most chemical digestion occurs. There are 3 fluids involved. Actually, if we go back, just quickly, there is a mucus lining around the inside of the stomach and the inside of the small intestine, and the job of that is to stop the acids or the alkalines from breaking it down. Okay, so back to this. It's a protective thing. Pancreatic juice, bile, and intestinal juice. They're the three fluids which break down food into the chemical components that we need. So, pancreatic juice starts in the pancreas. It's put through the pancreatic duct into the duodenum. It has three enzymes. It has, or three types of enzymes. It has amylases, which digest carbohydrates into simple sugars. Proteases, the example we're going to talk about in a minute is trypsin. These digest proteins down to amino acids. And you've got lipases. Now, lipases, you know, it's like they all have these like A's on the back end here, and that's what that's what enzymes all have. That means to break down essentially. So you get your lipases, and they digest fats down into fatty acids and glycerols. Now, bile is made in the gallbladder, and it travels through the bile duct into the duodenum, and it has two jobs. First is it is alkaline. So it neutralizes the pH of the small intestine. So these enzymes here will do their job. Finally, it also acts as an emulsifier. It emulsifies fat globules into tiny droplets. So again, we're increasing the surface area there. Should be adding there. Surface area for lipases to act upon. Alright. Intestinal juices come from the walls. Okay, so glands and the walls of the small intestine, and they complete additional enzymes that break those components down into yet smaller components, so they can be absorbed in the bloodstream. And this is what it looks like here. Okay, so you've got the different layers. You've got smooth muscles, again, muscular to move things along. It's not happening by chance. And in the gut wall, you have these villi. Now, villi, they increase the surface area of the small intestine. You see how it's not flat, it's up and down, they look like the inside of your tongue, sorry, the top of your tongue. The job here though is this is where all of the small components, whether it's sugars, amino acids, etc., this is where they're absorbed into the bloodstream through the villi. I'll just go back. Yeah, so they're absorbed in through that. All right, just a quick comparison of the pH of the two environments. So, pH for skin is between 5 and 7. pH for the stomach is between 1 to 3, and that's where pepsin lives. Now, pepsin and trypsin both digest proteins. Okay, so they're doing a similar job, but they require completely different pHs. So pepsin is also this range here of effectiveness, and that's the stomach. Okay, trypsin exists at close to neutral, maybe a bit closer to 9. We tend to say that the pH of the small intestine is 7 to 9. Stomach is 1 to 3. And skin is 5 to 7. Yeah. All right. I hope that makes sense. And I hope you took some wonderful notes. And I hope you now go ahead and tabulate these pages back here. So all of the information that you have found here. Now remember, I would tabulate the function of each of these. They all have a different job. Again, you've got a sphincter here, sphincter there, and another one here. Alright, I hope that was interesting, and I'll see you in class.